Donald Trump is building a team for his next administration. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Tuesday, November 12th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. One of Donald Trump's first tasks as president-elect is to fill top positions in his government. It's early in the process, but Trump and his team are already busy vetting candidates and zeroing in on key cabinet and White House roles. Trump is expected to nominate Florida Senator Marco Rubio as Secretary of State. He's also asked Florida Representative Mike Waltz to be the White House National Security Advisor. Both Republicans have more hawkish foreign policy views than that of the incoming president. Another potential appointment is Stephen Miller. He's a former speechwriter and campaign advisor to Trump. He helped develop policies during Trump's first term, including the ban on travel from Muslim-majority countries and the separation of families at the U.S. border. Miller is expected to return to government as Trump's deputy chief of staff to oversee an immigration crackdown. The Post is tracking all of Trump's picks as they come. You can find a link to our tracker in our newsletter today. Find that in our show notes. Number 2. Democrat Ruben Gallego was elected Arizona's first Latino U.S. Senator. The Arizona Senate race was the last to be called, but last night Gallego was projected to defeat Republican Kari Lake. She's a pro-Trump former news anchor who also lost the race for governor in 2022. Gallego spoke to his supporters last night at a news conference in Phoenix.
Thank you, Arizona. Thank you for all the Arizonans who supported me, the Democrats, Republicans, and Independents. And for those that did not support me or did not vote for me, please know I will always still fight for you. I will treat you with respect, and we may not agree all the time, but I will always do my best to serve you.
Gallego's win reflects the steady rise of Democrats in a state that was once reliably Republican. Although Trump won the swing state this time, Arizonans have rejected Trump-backed candidates in every statewide election since 2016. Even with last night's win for Democrats, Republicans will still take the majority in the Senate, with 53 seats to the Democrats' 47. Republicans are also on the cusp of winning control of the House. That would clear the path for Trump to enact his second-term agenda. You can find all the latest House results today in our newsletter. Number 3. A top Israeli official talked about annexing parts of the West Bank. Yesterday, Israel's finance minister Bezalel Smotrich welcomed Trump's election victory. In a speech, he said it meant the time has come to exert full Israeli sovereignty over parts of the occupied West Bank. The West Bank is a Palestinian territory separate from the Gaza Strip. It's larger by geography and population. It has about 3 million Palestinians and 500,000 Israelis who live in settlements and outposts, which are illegal under international law. Israel already has full control over much of the West Bank, but since 2022, Israel has dramatically expanded its footprint in the territory. Trump has ties with allies of Israel's settler movement, which wants to prevent the creation of a future Palestinian state. And his victory has emboldened Israeli hardliners. Women are stockpiling abortion pills before Trump takes office. That's our 4th story. Aid Access is one of the nation's largest suppliers of abortion pills. It reported receiving 10,000 requests for the medication in the 24 hours after Trump's victory early on Wednesday. That's roughly 17 times more than the organization typically gets in a day. Another nonprofit saw a similar spike, even though it said it was unusual for people who aren't pregnant to request the medicine in advance. Other reproductive health organizations have reported higher demand for longer-term birth control, like IUDs. People are also seeking morning-after pills and vasectomies. These organizations fear that Trump's presidency could severely curtail access to reproductive care. Number 5. Another named storm could form in the Western Caribbean this week. Hurricane season is technically supposed to be drawing to a close, but forecasters are watching a new disturbance that could form into a named storm by the end of the week. The next name on the list is Sarah. It's too early to speculate on any potential land impacts a storm could have, or to rule out a track into the Gulf of Mexico. The last named storm, Rafael, only recently dissipated. Meanwhile, on the West Coast, a pair of potent storm systems known as atmospheric rivers will bring flooding rain and snow over the next several days. That will affect California and the Northwest. A sunken U.S. warship from World War II known as the Dancing Mouse has been found. That's number 6. On March 1st, 1942, the USS Edsel was steaming alone in the Indian Ocean. It was probably hurrying to the aid of a ship in distress when it blundered into a huge Japanese naval force. For more than an hour, the ship and its crew fought alone against the Japanese ships, some of which had attacked Pearl Harbor 3 months earlier. But finally, it was hit and sank. A few survivors were picked up and later beheaded in a prison camp. For decades, the shipwreck was lost. But yesterday, U.S. and Australian officials announced that the wreck of the Edsel had finally been discovered. It was found late last year south of Australia's remote Christmas Island. An eerie underwater image provided by the Australian Navy shows the ship largely intact, sitting upright on the seabed. You can take a look at it in our newsletter. It's pretty spooky. Number 7 today comes with apologies to the teacher of the AP government class at Deep Run High School in Virginia. I heard you play this podcast for your students, but the news is the news and it can't be avoided. So here it is. Uranus may have been misunderstood for nearly 40 years. Most of what we know about our solar system's third largest planet comes from 1986. That's when NASA's Voyager 2 spacecraft made a brief flyby of Uranus, which lasted about 6 hours. But a new study suggests that that fleeting visit happened in the midst of a rare solar wind event. And that colored scientists' conclusions about the icy, windy giant known as Uranus. They thought the planet had an unusual asymmetrical magnetic field. But these new findings suggest that Uranus isn't so different from the rest of the planets in our solar system. It was just a little disturbed when we took a look at it. Thanks for listening, everyone. All right, you're all caught up. For your next listen and a deeper dive into the news, make sure you check out our afternoon news podcast, Post Reports. Yesterday's episode is about what Trump's victory means for the rest of the world. Find Post Reports wherever you listen to podcasts, and make sure you subscribe to the show. Give it a friendly rating while you're there, and leave us one too. I'm Hannah Jewell. I'll meet you back here tomorrow.